Hey, it's Mio. It's Monday, July 25th, 2022. I had, this is day 3 of my chemo, however many cycles I've lost count. I can't say. But I had the 5FU pump removed today. And possibly, based on the blood work that keeps coming back where my tumor markers are up, which is not exactly the best news. I'm always using these modifiers. It's not exactly the best news. It's not the best news. And in the next couple of weeks, I have a CT scan, will neither confirm or not as to whether the treatment currently that I'm on, which is for FOLFIRI, either working or not working, and whether the disease has progressed and how much it's progressed and all that kind of stuff. So that's happening in the next couple of weeks. And I think that the realities of all of these things in the last little while is something that's been weighing on me. And especially since my last oncology appointment, I think it really started for me maybe about a month ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, can't quite remember, when I received the results of, back then, the most recent results of the CA19-9, which is a tumor marker. It measures how much of the cancer runoff, I guess, is in the bloodstream. So it was an all-time high 3 weeks ago, and since then it's just been climbing. So it's not the best news, and not exactly what I would want. And it is, it's tough news to see, especially sort of out of context, because I'm just emailed saying you have a new test result, and then you look and then you see that it's higher than it's ever been. And yeah, I mean, not great. But I have been, I guess, processing it and kind of getting it, thinking about things. And again, I can only control what I can control, and I've been thinking about the things that I could control. And up to this point, I haven't really explored any complementary or integrative medicine, mostly due to the cost of how much those additional resources would be. And I also, because the treatment that I given or is being given has been working, I've been extremely, extremely fortunate to be here, approaching 2 years. And since the treatments with the public healthcare system that we have here has been working for me, I'm still here, I guess I, felt in terms of exploring other avenues or other treatments or other complementary treatments even, I thought about it because that is an area where philosophically and from a personal standpoint over my lifetime, I believe in holistic health and holistic way of looking at healthcare and taking care of ourselves and what's happening within us in general. But just due to lack of being able to pay for those things has really, and the fact that the treatment so far has been working, I hadn't explored complementary medicine up to this point. But seeing as things are going the way that they're going currently, and that I am going to be very, very likely, from I think what the evidence is showing so far, there's going to either be a treatment change, I would imagine there's going to be a treatment change, or potentially just being shuttled into just palliative care without additional treatment. So in thinking about those things, I thought, okay, well, maybe there are some things that potentially I can do on my end that can slow down what's happening, or if it's possible to get additional treatment, that whatever I can do on my end could maybe allow my body to be more stronger, be more susceptible to keeping the cancer at bay. So that's what I've been thinking about and working on for the last little while, and sort of preparing myself for what's to come in the next couple of weeks. as well as working on sort of the practical stuff, because I think that those things are important too. In terms of, I have some stuff that I still need to purge. I don't want to leave Joe with stuff that he has to maybe go through after I'm gone. I can do that now. I have time and I have the ability to do it. So especially on a day like today, where I'm actually thankful for the energy that I have. It's due to steroids and some additional medication for sure, but I do have the energy today. So like getting some stuff done and like purging things, and thinking about like donating things and maybe selling things and that kind of stuff, especially the selling part right now because of these additional consultations that I think that I will be engaging in the next little while. And with that said, and it's not something that I mention, if at all, in my videos, but there's been, many people who have been incredibly supportive on a lot of different levels. And there's been an incredible number of people who have been very supportive from the financial standpoint. And there is a GoFundMe that I started, and a lot of the funds that have been donated up to this point have helped to keep us afloat, because I haven't been working. It's been almost 2 years that I haven't been working, and we've depleted our savings, and we're on a single income. So a lot of what has been raised so far and the GoFundMe has gone to just sustaining ourselves, and just so thankful that so many generous people have donated. And so I'm in a situation now again of thinking of wanting to pursue these additional possible treatments, or these adjunct or complementary treatments, and they are quite pricey. And I think that there may be some additional costs with like supplements and medication and so forth. It's actually a very tricky thing for me to ask. There's 3 things I'm hoping that maybe you might consider. One is send love my way. I send all the love that I have to every single one of you out there, but if you can just send some extra love my way, that would be just incredible. The second thing is, if you're okay with it, to check out the GoFundMe link, and if it feels okay for you to share it with folks who may be open to wanting to hear my story and potentially supporting me in this thing that I'm going through. And thirdly, if there's any way that you could donate at least $5, and that's and I only say $5 because that's the minimum I think that you can donate on GoFundMe. But there is like a larger goal that I feel like I have, which is to have a big number of people. I think it's like 25,000 people, I think, is the sort of the big audacious goal that I had set for myself, to have 25,000 people donate at least $5. And yes, there is the financial component of it, but I also feel that the vibes, the good vibes that would come with that, would also be something that would be, if not more valuable than sort of the dollar amount itself. So that's something that I have been wanting to talk about, but it's always so hard for me to ask for help, because I've been very independent all my life, and it's part of what has been really difficult in this journey has been in the asking and the needing, in fact, of help, and not just financially, but physically and emotionally, mentally. So it's just been an incredibly difficult and challenging ride, but also been so remarkable in the sense that I have met and have been able to correspond and to know that people care about me, maybe even people who haven't even met me in person, and people who's like I think the last video I'm like, but people whose names I'll only know. And I think that there are people who are out there who have cared about me and care about me and think about me, whose names I will never know. And that to me is just like mind-blowing. And so, and I also like believe, like from the bottom of my heart, that these vibes and the goodwill of so many people also have a big piece in me being here. So the GoFundMe thing, to me, it's three-pronged thing. One is, like I said, like if you're watching this and you're so inclined, please send love my way. Secondly, if you can take a look at the GoFundMe link that's in the description, and if you're so inclined, I would really appreciate it if you can share it with others. And then thirdly, if you're open to it and you'd be so generous to donate at least $5, which I said is the minimum I think that you can donate on GoFundMe. And I'm trying to reach 25,000 people who would be willing to donate, and I don't know how to do it, but if it's something that can happen, it would just mean so much to me. So yeah, so with that said, I am in this place right now where I'm feeling pretty vulnerable, pretty more uncertain than I have, more probably as uncertain as I felt when I was first diagnosed. And certainly my blood tumor markers are actually higher than they were when I was first diagnosed. But I would say that I'm technically in better shape, at least in my subjective experience, than I was when I was first diagnosed. So some of it's confusing, because when I was first diagnosed, I was extremely jaundiced. I had dropped a ton of weight. I mean, I looked sick. I looked ill. A lot of people who see me now, and maybe even you, like watching the video, might be like, she looks fine. And even the doctors from an eye test standpoint are like, if we didn't know any better, you look like a healthy person. But the reality is, the thing about having specifically pancreatic cancer is I remind myself that Alex Trebek filmed his last episodes of Jeopardy, I think a few weeks before he passed away. And there was a professor at MIT, I want to say, can't remember, Randy Pausch. He has a great video. Here's Kudo. He has a great video on YouTube, and he passed a number of years ago. But Randy, and Pausch is, I think, is the last, how you spell his last name. And he talks about, I think he was maybe freshly more diagnosed, but he was a professor. He was a very popular professor at, no, I think it's Carnegie Mellon. He was a very popular professor at Carnegie Mellon, and he did something called the Lost Lecture. It's on YouTube. Please go check it out. And he even says in the video that he looks healthy, but he's in a situation where this particular cancer is ravaging his body. Now, I believe that he lived for a couple of years after that last lecture. There isn't a lot of information after that, really, and really it's an opus. I think there isn't more to say than what he gave in that last lecture, but it's something that I am cognizant of, that people with this cancer, with this particular diagnosis, could look a certain way and just have the disease be ravaging the body from the inside, So many of you, or some of you, may know that I have a goal, and it's a goal that's based on the fact that after being diagnosed, so I'll just back up. Joe and I, we don't have any children, and we have both been self-employed for a number of years now, over 10 years, I want to say. And even though over time we talked about getting life insurance, it's just something that we just didn't pull the trigger on. And in fact, I remember when COVID was first hitting, we sat down and should we just go ahead and get life insurance just in case, that something happens to one of us? And just with everything that was going on with COVID and everything else, we just didn't do it, which, to some degree, I'm kicking myself for now. But then I got diagnosed, and a few months into the diagnosis, when it appeared that I was responding to treatment, I decided to get a few policies for guaranteed life insurance. Now, the thing about guaranteed life insurance is that the policy doesn't activate until 2 years into the beginning of the policy. So, like I mentioned, waited a few months until it seemed as though the treatment that I was receiving was working, and and we decided to purchase some life insurance. Very modest, and certainly more expensive and less coverage than you could get like before getting this kind of a diagnosis. But the policies for Joe will be coming into effect February of next year, so February of 2023. And I also purchased one for my mother to be the beneficiary for May 2023. So I have these practical goals of wanting to be around until at the very least May of 2023 next year. And of course, you know, there's like a control bit, right? Like there's this feeling of like wanting to control fate. There's that part of it, but also wanting to know at the end of it all for myself that I can feel as though there's some cushion for Joe and my mother, even if it's just, again, like modest, like a little bit of amount. So there's that part of it that is driving me, but also at the same time, in the last couple of weeks, I didn't want that to sort of just be the focal point of me feeling like I need to be alive until then. You know, I want to be able to experience and to enjoy whatever time I have left. So I'm in this kind of state of mind of prolonging, but also not like desperately kind of like clinging to this need to make it until May 2023, but to know that that's definitely what I want to do, but also to enjoy and to just not be in fear and dread, you know, throughout this time, because coming out of the hospital for a couple months there, I think there was definitely some repression going on. But there's also the aspect of, if I am able to get some traction going on the GoFundMe too, that maybe it will also alleviate some of this anxiety that I have should I not make it to February, or May of next year. Those are some of the things I've been thinking about and coping with. Doing, you know, different kinds of planning. I guess the last one was the Q&A that I did. I called the hospice that I do have an interest in being at the end of things. Didn't hear back. And I was sort of like stressed out about doing that, so I hadn't followed up, but it doesn't feel like a completely imminent thing right now, but I hope that I will have an opportunity to visit maybe before my last visit, I guess it would be. But anyway, it's one of the ramblies. But this is what's been going on the last little while for me, and that's it. That's what's going on. I actually have a bit of a treatment break. I had chemo this past Saturday. Today's day 3. Generally speaking, 4, 5, 6 are the heavy duty energy drainers. I think that I may medicate myself just to have some additional energy during this time, only because like I'm really, really feeling more of the life is short bit right now, and it's nice to have some energy. Don't take energy for granted, folks. I mean, it's a thing. Thank you for sticking around. If you're still here and watching, I really appreciate it. And again, like, if you can send love my way, if you could share, if you don't mind, like checking out the GoFundMe link in the description and share it if, again, like you'd be open and inclined to do so. And thirdly, if you yourself would be open to donating at least $5, the good vibes and your generosity would be very much appreciated. So thank you so much for continuing to support me. The kindness, generosity, love, and care that I have received over time is unbelievable. It's so appreciated. Thank you so much. Sending a ton of love your way, And again, like, don't take your energy for granted. Don't take love and care for granted. And I hope you're taking care of yourself as well as those around you that you love and care about, and maybe let them know that you love and care about them, because sometimes we forget just to express those little things that could mean so much. Chef's kiss to you. There are more videos to come. Maybe if I take some of those energy meds for the next couple of days, I can get a couple of more videos out. But again, thank you so much. Love you. And I'll talk to you real soon.